are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And I am Evan Closky.
The man of the hour, and we appreciate it. We are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as the social media accounts we have, and email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. All right, Evan, we have Rangers and Diamondbacks in the good old Fall Classic. As we are recording, Game 4 is going on, correct?
Yep.
I'm having trouble counting on Halloween here. What have been your impressions of the series thus far? I know you're balancing a lot between college football, NFL, maybe some NBA, hockey, of course. A lot of balls in the court there. But your just overall take on the World Series thus far?
Game 1 was amazing to watch, right? Just a reminder of how if you're going to make a postseason run, you need somebody who's going to be him. You need Himothy, and Adolis Garcia is that guy. It's sad to hear that he's out for the remainder of the World Series, strained his oblique. That is a brutal blow to that Rangers lineup, and potentially could be a shoulda, coulda, woulda if they end up losing this thing, because he's been that good. But just, we mentioned it before. It takes a superior talent to, in some degree, you need help. Don't get me wrong. You need help, but you need a guy or two who just tears it up. And Garcia and Corey Seager have been just phenomenal to watch. And then you allow like the Evan Carters of the world to chip in. I have loved the scrappiness of this Diamondbacks team. Every time that we think that they're done and they've hit their peak, and they've really kind of this story's going to end. They just come back. Like, you could not have suffered a worse defeat in Game 1, and then to just pulverize Texas in Game 2. That's something special. But it's been a weird playoffs in general. The World Series itself hasn't outside of Game 1. Game 2 was a mess, and then Game 3 just came down to a little bit of a bullpen game, thanks to Max Scherzer going down and Bochy taking his Game 4 starter and putting him right into the fire to make sure that he wins Game 3. That we'll see if that plays out, but you want to win one on the road, and he got that and made sure that he got that. So that was a good managerial decision for him. And this game that is unfolding right now in Game 4 is going to be a bullpen day on both sides. I mean, we got Miguel Castro in here in the second inning, and we know that the Rangers are going to do what they're doing. So there have been some really good pitching performances. But for the most part in these playoffs, I don't think there's been, outside of maybe like Eovaldi, like Montgomery's had moments, but Eovaldi's probably been the most dominant pitcher in these playoffs. It just doesn't seem like there's been.
I don't know. Merrill Kelly has been coming on quite well.
He's been really good, but even Merrill Kelly, he struggled. I believe his first start in that Phillies series,
3 solo shots. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, there have been some really good pitchers. I just haven't necessarily. Man, it's been a long season for Merrill Kelly, dating back to the WBC.
Yeah.
The way that we view kind of Garcia and Seager and even Ketel Marte and his postseason hitting streak, and Corbin Carroll. I haven't, outside of Eovaldi, I don't know if I've seen like a pitcher really jump off the screen for me of like, wow, he's taking over like Steven Strasburg did back in, for the Nationals, or Lincecum used to do, or even think about, Wainwright. You can think back to Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling. Pitchers sometimes take center stage here, and I haven't felt like we've had that star power from the mound, and maybe that's just the way the game's moving.
Yeah, maybe that's kind of like Exhibit A on how we're doing as a sport. Evan, if you were to take one facet of either the Diamondbacks or the Rangers, not one for each, just one total of how they play the game, either their defense, their base running, their pitching, their bullpen, whatever you have, their offense, what would you like the Rays to mimic from that facet? What would that be?
Well, certainly the Rangers is just a beef. I'm jealous of how much power they have, and not just like the Rays. When you look at their number, they had a lot of home runs this year, but none of those guys, Isaac Paredes hit 30, but even Isaac isn't quite like, Corey Seager, where you're just scared crapless to face him, or Adolis Garcia, a guy who has like 40 home run potential. Just, they have a huge foundation in the middle of that lineup that, they have a son of a few people, and then everybody else in that lineup can kind of rotate around them and make themselves better because they don't have to be the star. And I just think that when you play a game where everybody has to chip in, sometimes you're making people who aren't built to be stars in big moments, and that's difficult. With the Diamondbacks, it's a little bit tougher because I think they do come from the same cloth of the Rays. I think that they have leaned into maybe this win however you have to do it type of way. I mean, what was it? Did Longo bunt the other day? I think
that was so cool. That was so cool.
And you just, there's
The
something.
last time he bunted was never, pretty much.
2014, wasn't it? Like, it's insane.
Yeah, and I just think, and Longo. I mean, Longo doesn't really. He's not someone you're pointing to as a difference maker for the Diamondbacks, but he is somebody that has a veteran presence in that locker room as a hitter. And I mentioned this before in the last episode. That helps. I think it's really important to have someone like that. But I wish I could tell you, like, take their can-do attitude, but they are. I mean, they take a drink of nails with their coffee and they spit it right out, and they have come back from horrendous situations, and they've bunted, they've stolen, they've pushed the envelope, but they had to win in Philly, and they won back-to-back games in Philly, and no one thought they could do it. The Diamondbacks, the Rays are never going to be the Rangers with what they spend, with the star power they have, but they can be the Diamondbacks. So analyzing kind of how that happened, and maybe it was a fluke sort of deal, but I think that they still, like, even a Ketel Marte is still a guy that I would argue provides way more consistent pop and scares opposing teams a little bit more than maybe some of the other everydayers that the Rays have at median. I think those would be my two things.
Yeah, makes sense.
The downside of the Fall Classic, at least according to MLB brass and TV brass, are the record low ratings. This could go down based on some of the reports that I've scattered through, like the least watched World Series in history. Crazy.
Yeah. It is what it is, and that's the thing. It's not a very interesting pair of teams. If the Rays were in it, just like the Dodgers, it's a little bit different because LA was in it and we were in the pandemic, so people needed stuff to watch, kind of on the tail end. But, if like the Rays were playing the Diamondbacks, like those ratings probably could get worse. At least they're playing in Dallas and they're playing in Phoenix, pretty two sizable markets. So that matters to them. Just that's the way it is. That for me, I hate when, and that not you guys, I just hate in general when fans complain about, Rangers, Diamondbacks, who cares? And then it's like, okay, so then don't piss and moan when the Dodgers always get there and get all these breaks, or the Phillies, it's like, or the Mets or the Yankees or the Astros. It's like, I'm sick and tired of them. It's like, well, you just complained about fresh blood, and now you're going to say that the old dogs who provide all the ratings, you don't want them because that always happens. Like, you can't have it both ways. So if you really love baseball, you'll watch the World Series regardless of who it is to prove that, even when there is fresh blood, that you're going to be excited to see a new champion. And I know that's harder, easier said than done, because you have to devote 3 to 3.5 hours to watching these games. But I had a ton of fun watching Game 1. Yes, I turned off Game 2 pretty quickly because I'm not going to stay in. If a comeback happens, I'll see it on my phone. Yeah. And Game 3 was just a classic. That's baseball at its finest. 3-1 contest. Everyone's in it, most of the way. So I don't know. That's just the nature of it, and why big markets get some favoritism, because when you present statistics like that and ratings like that, you can understand why someone who runs a company would want to pull for those teams. So, that's just my other side of the coin when I always hate that. Oh, and look at that. Corey Seager just hit another home run.
No, of course he did.
Hey, that's why you give a guy like that $300+ million to perform in the playoffs and perform in the biggest moments.
And when and if the Rangers win this World Series, he's going to win 2 World Series MVP awards in 4 years, right? 2020, 2021, 22. Yeah. 2 of the 4.
Pretty crazy.
Because I thought
that's Hall of Fame caliber right there.
Yeah, when he was given that contract, I was like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? This is like Jason Worth-esque. But then you look at it a little bit further and you see the pedigree, the postseason pedigree, and assuming he's able to stay healthy, how he can really bring a team together. So are you under the impression, based on what Seager just did, that the Rangers are going to be able to wrap this thing up? What is the percentage chance of the Diamondbacks being able to come in and come back and take over?
I mean, I just said they put nails in their coffee, but when you have to, the thing is with the Diamondbacks, where they're getting exposed a little bit. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the Rangers, because they're doing a bullpen day as well. They don't have great people coming down the chute here in the middle innings as well. But the Diamondbacks got exposed in extras in Game 1, throwing Miguel Castro, and they getting exposed right now doing a bullpen day. That's actually where the Rays are better set than the Diamondbacks. While I think the Diamondbacks had elite end of the bullpen guy, like, a 7th, 8th, 9th. I think those were pretty well stacked. I think their final 2 or 3 relievers on the postseason roster there, the World Series roster, not quite good enough. And I mean, when people complain about, I don't know, like Andrew Kittredge or Davinsky or something, every team kind of has those issues where if you have to turn over to, if you're in a sticky situation, they're going to have to pitch, and you just have to hope that they don't blow up. And this is knowing Miguel Castro's history as a reliever for a little while now. None of this is really surprising.
Yeah, and you see it on the other side as well. Aroldis Chapman, it's a roller coaster every time he takes the mound. You don't know where the ball is going, and I'm pretty sure that if you were a hitter, Kevin, you'd be pretty on your toes, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right, score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and beyond. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON, and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. All right, Evan, let me posit this question to you. Which franchise wins a World Series next? The Diamondbacks or the Rays? I was about to say first, but I know the Diamondbacks already have one as an expansion team. But who's more likely?
I'll say the Diamondbacks because they just made it to the World Series. So who knows is my question. But they're in the World Series right now, so I'm going to take them.
I'll give you that. That's fair. Now, after this season, and I'll go a step further, and I know that I've brought this question up on the pod to Ulises beforehand as well. By the time the Rays open up their new stadium, likely, hopefully, maybe in St. Petersburg, will the Rays have a ring, at least one ring under their belt? So by opening day 2028, can we say that they're World Series champions?
No. And I'm just going to play the odds. It has nothing against the team. It's just like if you're going to tell me if the Rays, who can't score a run in the playoffs right now, they're going to go win a World Series, I just have a hard time believing it. But that doesn't mean they don't have the talent to win a World Series. I'm just going to take the field and the probabilities that they're not going to win in the next 4 years.
That's fair.
That's fair.
It's a very rational answer to the question. It's not anything against the prognostication of what the Rays will be in the future.
I haven't taken statistics in a while, but it would be 1/30 times 1/30 times 1/30 times 1/30, correct?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So again, percentages are on my side.
Yeah. We could probably eliminate a good handful of teams that are going to have no shot
True.
to make it to the playoffs and or the World Series. Like, we can just eliminate the Athletics for the next handful of years. So
then it would be 1 out of 25?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Still, though. By the way, if you want to mull it over, you don't have to answer right now. I'm interested to know if you know who the only 3 players in Major League Baseball history to win 2 World Series MVP awards.
Ooh, that is a great question.
2 players?
3 players have won
twice.
2 World Series MVP awards.
Quick question.
And they are big names. So,
how did you just see this come across on Twitter, or did you?
I just Googled it because when Corey Seager wins, I just want to know what kind of company he's.
Are they all position players?
No. I'll say that 2 are pitchers actually.
Roger Clemens.
No, and it fairly older.
Fairly older. That's good. Okay, because I was gonna go with Randy Johnson, but that's not older.
The last one to do it was in 1977.
Oh, okay. 1977 was the Big Red Machine. They won it against Boston, I believe. Maybe that was 76. But anyway, 77 is the Red Sox, the Cincinnati Reds. Big Red Machine. Who would have won it?
Wasn't that the 90s?
No, the Big Red Machine was in the 70s.
I thought the Big Red Machine was in the 90s.
No, that's Larkin era. I'm talking Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Perez, Concepcion.
Okay.
Oh, you're right. You are at the mid 70s. Yes. Sorry, it's not. But I'm just gonna stop you there. It's no one on the Reds.
Nolan Ryan.
But you are in the right. You are in the right area. That's my fault for getting confused with the Larkin years. You're right. No, it was not Nolan Ryan.
So in the 70s. Who else won it in the 70s? The Pirates won it in the 70s. The Yankees won it in the 70s. I believe it was Reggie Jackson's 3-homer World Series game.
Oh, Mr. October, he's got to be on that list.
Reggie Jackson?
He's the last one to do it. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
The other two are slam dunk Hall of Fame pitchers. Old.
Bob Gibson.
Yep, that's one.
Sandy Koufax.
That's the other.
Okay.
Wow, very good. All right. Nice bit of trivia there. Before we wrap this episode up, I do want to bring this up, and I know that Evan kind of shot me down with the can or will the Rays win a World Series by the time the new stadium opens? And I think I know the answer to this, but we have to acknowledge the importance and the noteworthiness of Evan Longoria playing in another World Series. Great for him, and I think that's why many of us are rooting for him to finally get his first ring. If he wins a ring this year, is there any shot in Hades that he makes the Hall of Fame?
Evan Longoria?
Evan Longoria with 58.6 career WAR, 342 homers, a Rookie of the Year, 3-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove, and theoretically a championship title.
I think he would have to be a Veterans Committee.
I understand that position, but seeing as I stood up every time that 10 tricks down and out came up over the PA system, and I used to do an air violin, let me contradict that and say I think Scott Rowland might have opened the door for Evan Longoria.
And that's a fair counterpoint. I would have to be fair, I would have to really dig into it more because he does, off the top of my dome, it seems very fringy. But that would be my hunch would be Veterans Committee, and we can then discuss of how, we can go with the narrative of he was hiding in Tampa.
Yeah. He's definitely Hall of Good, Hall of Very Good. I think, and we've talked about this before, some of the issues that befall him is the relevancy over the last 5, 6, 7 years, really since he left the Rays, kind of has fallen off a cliff to some extent. And it's funny, I mentioned 3-time All-Star. The last time he was an All-Star was in 2010.
Yeah.
I mean you're talking about 12, 13 freaking years since the last time he made it. But even going beyond that, I mean, he hasn't played 100 games since 2019. So also, there's a lot that's hurting him.
And you have to take in consideration who his peers were in the American League. You've got Machado right there taking those All-Star nominations after 2010. Oof. Okay. That was a foul. It's okay. We saw that, but we'll
what happened? Did he drop his tee?
Slam dunk.
Oh, no.
That's why you watch. That's why you got to watch on YouTube.
Exactly. You
Holy
miss these
cow.
things. That was good. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Where's Andrew Jones at in terms of years on the ballot?
Oh, man, I think he's on his 6th, 7th year now.
Yeah, but also Andrew Jones was like an elite plus defender.
And he hasn't gotten in. So
that's my point is everything that he's done, he had such a drop-off his last 5, 6 years, and his numbers are fantastic across the board, and he's still, like, fighting and clawing to get into the thing. So I think that's a big black mark, if you will, on Evan Longoria. We love him. It's just it's going to be very challenging.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to touch on the World Series?
Last but not least, prediction time. Evan, who wins it in how many games, and who's the World Series MVP?
Rangers 6, Corey Seager.
He answered that. Yep, very quickly.
Okay. I'm going Diamondbacks 7, Merrill Kelly.
Diamondbacks 7, Ketel Marte.
Wow, You're both going Diamondbacks in this. You're gonna
hey, I'm not betting money on it. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying they're about to be up 3-1, and you're both riding DBs.
That's how much Longo means to Rays fans. It's it's Team Longo.
Hey, I am rooting for Longo. What I think's going to happen and what I want happens, that's two different things.
You got to put it out in the ether, Evan. You got to put it out in the
fair
ether.
enough.
That's what I've
Fair
heard
enough.
from people that read the secret, apparently.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. $1 million. Come my way. Right. I'm just
Each
putting it-
for each.
For each. That's right. And from my buddies. $3 million
Let's go.
into the ether. Let's go.
Before taxes. All right.
Before taxes.
I'm just trying to win a fantasy football matchup here. Okay. Can I throw that into the ether?
It'd be nice if the Bucks could win another game. Can you help us
Throw
out
that
with
into the ether.
Throw that in. Yeah, Baker. Let's go. Bake some more, man.
Bake some more.
Some dubs.
Maybe bake some less.
Yeah, somebody's got to be baking.
It's
Or,
probably not him.
or we got to be eating bacon. Either or.
There we go.
All right.
All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.